scripture text today. If you look over in your chat section, there you will find it. Our scripture text is Psalm 22, verses 1 through 3, and it reads, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? Why art thou so far from helping me and from the words of my roaring? Oh my God, I cry in the daytime, but thou hearest not, and in the night season, and am not silent. But thou art holy, O thou that inhabiteth the praises of Israel. And if I could use for a subject message on today, thank you. I would like to use for a subject message on today, intentional. 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 And intentional means to do something with a specific thing in mind, or to do something with a specific purpose. A specific purpose. And as we move in our text today, we're going to, the first thing that I want to point out to you is that some things are done intentional. Come on. Can anybody relate to that? Either something has been done to you intentionally, or either you have done something intentionally. And I want you to understand, everything that is done intentionally does not mean that it's bad. Sometimes we don't speak on the fact of what is done intentionally for a good cause. Is anybody else besides Pastor Fran? There are some things that I am intentional on. There are some things that I do with a specific purpose in mind, because I'm trying to convey, come on, oftentimes when we do something intentionally, we are trying to convey a message. Can anybody agree with Pastor Fran on that? I don't know what the message is that you are trying to convey, but there are certain times when, you know, I prepare certain things for my family. I'm trying to convey a message. My husband has already told me his birthday, he didn't tell me when his birthday was, but he already told me his birthday wish list. Come on. He's already told me what meal he wants for his birthday. So in order for me to be able to communicate to him that I'm going to honor your request, I'm going to be intentional about what I prepare for him. Not only am I going to be intentional about what I prepare for him, I'm going to be very intentional about how I prepare it for him. Come on. I need for you to catch that. I'm going to be very intentional, not only on what I prepare, but how I prepare it. I'm going to ask my husband to put it over in the chat section, how he knows that I am going to prepare it. I'm not even going to say the word, but because he knows me, I want y'all to pay attention to the chat section as your ears are attentive to what I am saying. But the thing is, intentional means that you do it with a purpose or on purpose. You're trying to communicate something. You're trying to communicate something. But how many of us know sometimes it's not so easy? I need for him to move a little bit faster, if he will, to help us, or either if he can invoke his son to help him type the word of how they know we prepare it, because the people are waiting. But if he will just do that, I ask that humbly and gracefully, if he would do that, or get Antonio to help him. But nevertheless, when we're trying to communicate something, we are more intentional in those things that we do. And most of the time, if we just be honest, when we are being intentional, it is something that we have thought out and thought through. Come on. When you are intentional about something, that means you have put some time effort and much thought and consideration into it before you actually do it. Come on. Oh my God. So watch this. But how many of us know sometimes it's easy for me to be intentional when I'm feeling good. Come on. It's easy for me to be intentional with how I feel. It's easy for me to be intentional with some things when I can see, when I can see certain things. It's easy for me to be intentional. I'm gonna ask y'all to take y'all attention away from what First Man is saying now. I don't know where he got all of that from, but anyway, if you look at the 931 message, that is what, yeah. So y'all come back with Pastor Fran just for a minute, please. We ain't gonna hold you long. But again, watch this. Being intentional about communicating something positive is good when I'm feeling positive about it. Come on. It's easier. Can I get somebody to just be honest with you? It's easy for me to communicate positively when I'm feeling positively. But the thing I love about where we are taking our text from today is that David is very intentional about what he is wanting to communicate. But I need for you to understand in the first two scriptures, we see that everything is not the way that David wants it to be. David is not even feeling. David is not even in the best situation and or circumstances. In our text, David is feeling abandoned. Ooh. David is feeling like God is not going to come through for him. Can anybody else relate to that? David is saying, my God, I feel forsaken. My God, I don't know when this is going to be over. My God, I have prayed about this and I feel like you don't even hear me. David said, he said, my God, why have you forsaken me? David is not necessarily saying that God is forsaking him. David is saying he feels like he is forsaken, because sometimes we know that God has not forsaken us, but now we're trying to get over the feeling that God has forsaken us. And oftentimes that feeling is generated because we don't see what we want to see. David is saying, I feel like you're so far away from me. So I need for you to understand that David is having to be intentional despite how he feels. Oh God. David is being intentional despite how he feels. Because again, as we see in our text, he's showing us how we feel. And there's a lot of us that can relate to how David is feeling. I've been praying about this thing a long time, God. I've been dealing with this thing a long time, God. But I want to also show you something else in our text that is noteworthy. Because even though David is feeling the way that he feels, and David is having the experience that he is having, by the time we get to verse 3, David said, I gotta be intentional now. Oh God. I just need for somebody to type it over in the chat section. I gotta be intentional now. I gotta be intentional now. I'm gonna show you what David was intentional about. Because David is feeling the way that he feels. David is going through whatever he is going through, whatever situation that David is going through. In the beginning of Psalm 22, David has this moment where he expresses what he feels to God. But David said, he said he expresses what he feels about God. And then, but David said, but wait a minute, I got to be intentional now. I got to be intentional now. He said, I cannot get stuck in how I feel. I just need for somebody to understand that I cannot get stuck in how I feel. So now comes verse 3. And Antonio is going to show us verse 3 because David is now shifting into being intentional. David said, I feel the way I feel. My situation is the way it is. I can't do nothing about it. I can't change it. David said, but I can be intentional. Because at verse 3, David said, but thou art holy. Whew, oh God. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Thank you, Antonio. He said, but thou art holy, O thou that inhabiteth the praises of Israel. Hear this now. Here it is. David is feeling the way that he is feeling. But David said, I cannot even operate in how I feel. Ooh, oh God. David said, I now got to be intentional. He said, I got to be intentional. He said, but thou art holy. Wait a minute. Let Pastor Fran throw you something right here to help you do life with. Stop being overly infatuated with what somebody does when they feeling you. My younger folks know what feeling means when they feeling you. I'm not talking about touching you. So let me just come straight across the field with it. So here it is. When I say that, I mean stop being infatuated with what people do, what they give you access to, and what they allow to happen when they like you. When what you doing works for them, they don't have any problem doing what they do for you. Watch this. But David is about to show us something. David said, I'm in my feelings, but I got to still be intentional. David said, I'm in my feelings and I'm feeling the way I feel, but I still got to do the right thing. Oh, God. Here's your life nugget in this. Again, stop being over infatuated with people who only do what you like when you do what they like. Can somebody just please say, I caught that? Because I'm not going to get beside myself. I see you, woman of God. I said, I caught that. Because oftentimes that is a mistake that we make. We get overly infatuated and then we build toxic relationships with people who only do what we like when we do what they like. But the very moment that we don't do what they like, watch this, they show us the real them. Come on, did somebody just catch that? So watch this. It's more beneficial for you to look for the moment, look at their behavior, look at how they handle themselves, look at how they conduct themselves when they ain't feeling you. That's going to help you be more settled in your mind. That's going to help you avoid a lot of hurt, heartache, pain, frustration, and disappointment. More so than what we already have to naturally deal with in life. Because watch this. David is basically telling us, he said, God has not come through for me the way I have expected for him to come through for me. But David said, nevertheless, I'm not going to sit here and throw a temper tantrum. I'm not going to sit here and get in my feelings. David said, because of the truth of the matter is his track record outweighs his current performance. Woo! Oh God, did somebody catch that? Because oftentimes be careful of people who will judge you off your present performance and they never consider your track record. David said, I'm looking at everything that God has ever done. Not just for me, but I'm looking at what he done for my mama. I'm looking at what he done for my daddy. I'm looking at what he done for my cousins. I'm looking at what he done for my nieces. I'm looking at what he's done for my nephews. I'm looking at what he has done. And David said, when I look at what he's done, it is no reason, despite how I feel, it's no reason for me to withhold what is naturally and honorably his. Whew, oh God. Hmm? Be careful of people. Be wary of people. Be cautious of people who would withhold something from you when it's not even deserved. When you look at my track record, come on, I got more wins in my columns than I do losses. Whew, oh God. I need for somebody to speak that over their own life. I got more wins in my column than I do losses. But watch this. David's response was showing God David's heart. Oh God. If you want to know somebody's heart, watch what they do when they mad at you. Watch what they do when you ain't done what they want you to do, when you want them to do it, and how you want them to do it. If you want to see their heart, watch this. That's not judging them. When you want to see, when you need to know what's in their heart, watch what they do in those moments. I'm not asking you to watch what they do when, you done brought them flowers, roses, and chocolate candy. I'm talking about watch their heart when you ain't got what you wanted. And when you're feeling forsaken. Because that was David's opportunity. He could have said, this ain't working for me. Yeah, he did it for them, but he ain't going to do it for me. But David used this opportunity. David said, he's still good. I want to know, do I got anybody that says, God ain't come through for me yet, but he's still good. I'm going to be very intentional about what I say at this point. I'm going to be very intentional about what I do at this point, because I want God, watch this, I want God to see my heart, not feel the wrath of my emotions. Did y'all catch that? Because sometimes we are so focused on someone feeling our emotions that we forget to express to them what's really in our heart. So I'm watching what you do. I'm watching how you move. I'm watching. Because sometimes people prioritize expressing their feelings and their emotions instead of communicating what's really in their heart. But David said, I'm going to let my mouth communicate what's really in my heart. Because watch this. David said, I ain't got it yet. I don't even understand why yet. Some of us, come on, we can relate to David right there. I ain't got it yet, and I don't even understand why, because I thought I have done everything. I thought. I done prayed, I done fasted, I done done this, and I done done that, and I'm tithing, I'm giving, I'm studying my word, I'm doing all of that, and it still has not yet come to pass yet, because sometimes it's only a litmus test trying to prove to you, watch this, how much you really trust God. Because David said, even though I ain't got it yet, I'm not going to withhold from him what I know he deserves. Hmm. I might have to pray about it again today, but I still got to give him what he deserves. David said, I still owe him something. I owe him the expression of gratitude. That's why I can decree and declare without it, God, you still holy. That's why I can decree and declare with a broken heart, God, you're holy. Watch this. When I can decree that you're holy, it prompts what the woman of God said at 9:46. It prompts a thank you, God. It prompts a Lord, you are worthy. It prompts a Lord, you are good. It prompts a thank you with tears rolling down my face. Because I refuse to let my situation, I refuse to let my circumstances, I refuse to let how I feel put me in a position that I do not give you what you deserve. Because when I look at the column, there are more wins than anything else. Can anybody else attest to that? When I look at the column of my life, I see more victories than I do lost battles. When I look at it, I see things that I would have never made it out of on my own. So I cannot let whatever this situation is that David is dealing with, David said, I cannot let it stop me from giving God what's due to him. Oftentimes, watch this, when I am counseling people and I'm doing life with people, I will tell people and I will encourage people. And this is a practice that I actually operate by, a principle that I operate by in my own life. Everything ain't always good in the Corbett household. Watch this. But one thing the occupants of my house will tell you is that the only way that they can know that something is off with me, for the most part, is because I get quiet. I don't stop cooking. I don't stop cleaning. I don't stop fixing my husband lunch. He amening y'all. He's telling y'all it's true what I'm saying. And every day, even when things are not at its best, we still, when he's leaving to go to work, we could have just had a big knockdown, drag him out type of experience. But he will still walk over to me, or I will walk to him. And as he leaves to go to work, it's still, I love you. Have a great day. We might not talk no more the rest of the night. Because oftentimes he's busy. But regardless of what's going on, that is a standard in the Corbett household. He may not be feeling me. I may not be feeling him. But watch this. When I look at the track record, there are more wins in the columns than there are losses. So it's not right. It's not fair for me to withhold something that he is honorable in receiving. Come on. I don't care how I feel. I have to get over how I feel. I gave you the life nugget in that. Don't get overly infatuated with people who are doing what you like when you do what they like. Watch what they do when you don't do what they like. Watch what they do when you break the cycle and start saying no. Or I can't. Or no, I ain't going for that. He talking to y'all at 9:50. That's every day. Every day. Feeling it or not feeling it. It's a standard in my house. Our house. And watch this. I want to know, are you intentional? As we move closer to closing, I wanted you to be mindfully aware of what's happening. Because sometimes we're trying to build relationships with people. Watch this. Sometimes we're trying to build relationships with people who, up under the right situation and circumstances, proves to us that they will even withhold, watch this, what you deserve because of how they feel. That's dangerous. That is a one-way street. Matter of fact, that's a dead-end street. And I'm going to just be country like I am. That's a dead-end road. It's one way in and one way out. Oh my God. David said, God, I know I ain't got it yet. I know I prayed for it. My feelings and my emotions and the lack of what I cannot see is trying to narrate a story to me, to tell me that you're not going to come through, that you are not hearing me, that you are not going to give me what I have asked you for. David said, but just as well, watch this. He said, I'm going to intentionally remember. I need to know, do we have anybody at Life Meets the Word that said, I'm going to intentionally remember. I know how I'm feeling right now, but I'm going to intentionally remember when he brought me out then. I'm going to intentionally remember when he delivered me then. I'm going to intentionally remember when he held me tight. I could feel his presence. I'm not going to let how I feel right now put me in a position where I withhold what he's due, where I refuse to give him what he deserves. Yeah, he ain't come through now, watch this, but it doesn't mean he's not going to come through. Because if you keep reading in that, David said, I'm intentionally remembering. And David said, I know a way. I know a way. I know a way. I know a way to get him here. Because in the latter part of verse 3, David makes a statement. You don't got to go. David makes a statement. And he said, you inhabit the praises of Israel. Watch this. I need for y'all to understand what David is saying. David said, watch this. When you are feeling like God is so far from you, when you are feeling like God is not going to come through for you, David said, let me just give you this little life nugget to help you get him in the space of where you are at. Oh God, catch this. Because sometimes I can tell you what's all in the church's studio. I can tell you all of this. But it's something different when I'm able to show it to you. Come on. David said, God, I'm a I'm going to invite you in. And it's not the kind of invitation that we think about when we want somebody to come to our parties, or whether we want somebody to come to our church, or even like we do when we're sending out, the blast text and asking people to attend to Life Meets the Word. Please join us. David said, I know a way to get you here without even asking you. David said, I know something that will bring you closer to me. Ooh, oh God. David said, I know how to praise. To get you here. He said, because I know that you live in praise. I know that you reside in praise. I know that praise, I'm telling you now, I know that praise is your summons. Praise is the thing that says, God, I value you over what I feel. I value you over what I ain't even got yet. Ooh, oh God, did somebody catch that? Because it's one thing to value God for what he does. But can you still have that same level and mindset of value in him when you ain't even got what you wanted yet? So watch this. My praise now shifts from what you can do to who you are. That's why without it, I can still say thank you, because I'm being intentional. That's why when my heart is broken, I can still say thank you, because God, watch this, you've never stopped being, but you are worthy of that. And I didn't finish my point earlier. The thing that we got to make sure that we don't do, that I oftentimes counsel people with, and I actually use it as a principle in my own life, is I never target, watch this, a person. Watch this. Because oftentimes, in our attempt to prove a point to a person, we are offending God. So in our efforts to prove a point to them, we are actually going against God. So sometimes it means that in order for me to honor God and not put myself in a position to where I am withholding something from God because of what I won't do that's rightfully in line with his word to a person. I'm going to use my own marriage as an example. My husband and I, here's the scenario. My husband and I are not happy with each other. We are at odds with each other. We are in a disagreement. But how many of you know that there are some things according to this word that I am not rightfully obligated to withhold from him? There are some things that I still have to do to honor God, but they got to be done towards him. Woo, just something. So sometimes our honoring God is predicated by how we treat somebody else. And if I'm going to be in line with his word, there are some things I cannot withhold from him. But if I'm just so mad at him, watch this, and my focus is just him, my focus is just him and what he did and how he made me feel. But it's in this word. I still got to do it. It's still in this word. I got an obligation to do. I can't withhold it. I Told you single folks, we're going to get into that. Because make sure that you're ready to do it. And then there's some things I don't want it to be one-sided. Because watch this, even when he's mad at me and he's not happy with me, there are some things that he is not rightfully. There's some things that he is rightfully responsible to do anyway. That this ain't one-sided. Come on. And oftentimes we like to talk about what the woman's responsibility is, but the man also has a responsibility. And they, watch this, cannot withhold it either. They got to be just as intentional. But sometimes if we're not careful, in my closing, we're not being intentional. We're withholding things from God. But in all actuality, our mind is telling us that we're proving a point to the person. No, all you're doing is withholding from God what's honorably and rightfully his. This is why you can't do it in your feelings. In my closing, I'm asking you. I know there are some things that we've all asked God for. We've prayed about them. But I came to be the messenger of good news today. You have more wins in your column than you do losses. You have more victories than you do defeat. Are you intentional? Watch this. On not just getting him there, but are you as intentional on why you want him there? Because David said, I want him here because he's God. I want him here because he's holy. I want him here because he's righteous. I just don't want him here to fix my situation. I just don't want him here to bring me out. I'm just not with him when it's good. I'm just not with him when I can see. I'm with him when I can't see. Because I love him like that. And I want him around even when I ain't got what I wanted all the time. Oh God. David was intentional. He got over how he felt. And he said, I cannot let how I feel put me in a position that I do not give them what they deserve. Amen. I want to say this, especially to my folks that are not yet married. Be watchful. Be watchful. Be watchful. I'm not just talking to the women, I'm talking to the men, because we do have some single men as well. Be watchful at what a person will withhold from you because of how they feel. Because sometimes they are withholding loyalty. Sometimes they are withholding things from you that you do deserve. Sometimes they're even withholding commitment. And all it takes is the right situation, the right circumstances to bring it out. And once you see that it's there, then you have a choice that you have to make. It's not on them to make the choice. It's on you to make the choice. Be intentional. Be very intentional. And to the body of Christ and whole, be watchful. I'm not telling you to watch other people first. I'm going to tell you to watch other people. But first, before I tell you to watch other people, I'm telling you to first take a look at yourself, at how you handle situations. Before you start looking at anybody else, watch how you handle situations. Do your own self-assessment. Make sure that you're just not wanting God's presence because you just want him to fix your stuff. I just want my children saved. I just want my husband saved. I just want my finances all together. That's all I want. I want good health. That's all I want. Them the wrong reasons to want him there. Because if those are the only reasons that you want him there, then all it takes is the right situation, the right circumstances to bring you out of that mindset. And when you come out of that mindset, you will come out of everything that you was doing while you were in that mindset. But I believe that we have a body that says, I just don't want him to fix my stuff. I just want him to know how much I love him. I want him to know how much I adore him. I want him to know how much I appreciate him. I'm being very intentional. No, I don't see the manifestation of my children saved. I don't see the manifestation in my finances yet. I don't see the manifestation in my health yet. I don't see it. But God, I refuse to withhold anything that you so rightfully deserve. This is why I still come to church every Sunday. This is why I give. This is why I sow. This is why I worship. This is why I read. This is why I study. This is why I even use discipline in my choices. Because despite what's going on in my life, you still deserve it. And I will not let anybody else put me in a position that I'm not able to give you what you deserve. I'm going to be intentional about it. I'm intentional. Look at you and see if you're intentional. See if you are consistently telling God thank you when you haven't even got what you wanted. Are you consistently showing up for God the way you want God to show up for you? Are you consistently honoring God, God's request, the way you want God to honor your request? And then, for life lessons, some of us can avoid controlling situations if we really look at the truth and stop being so overly infatuated when people do what they do because we do what they want. People do what you want them to do because you're doing what you want them to do. It's like you scratch my back, I scratch yours. No. If I got to get me an extender to scratch your back, I'm going to make sure you know that I do it because I love you. I do it whether I'm mad. I do it whether I'm happy. I do it whether I'm sad. I do it whether I'm frustrated. Because it's the right thing to do. And I refuse to let my feelings, my emotions control me. And if you refuse to let your feelings and your emotions control you, then why are you letting somebody else's feelings and emotions control you? Mm. So take a look at yourself first, and then take a look at your personal relationships, and do a truthful assessment on both. And whatever changes that you need to make, you ask God to help you with those changes. God bless you. So that you're in a better position to be intentional at honoring Him.